So I said we were going to cover something that had happened, and that was a falling out between the ranks of the Brexiteers, and this is going to be quite good, because this is actually going to split the Brexit supporters quite badly, which in a way will be quite good for us. So please do, guys, continue on. And who's falling out? Well, it's our old chum Stephen Yaxley Lennon and Nigel Farage. So this comes from the Metro. They might both support Brexit, but Nigel and Stephen Yaxley Lennon really don't see eye to eye. The former UKIP leader and the current UKIP advisor made sure that they were seen among the crowds at the pro-Brexit rally this afternoon. After showing his hour-long documentary to the crowd, Robinson turned to Farage, telling his supporters that he doesn't care about you. He added, he's exactly the same as the establishment. The far-right activist revealed that he and the current UKIP leader Gerard Batten, who made him special advisor to the party, have discussed him joining the party. He then asked the crowd if they would like to see him stand in a parliamentary election, to which they cheered and began chanting his name. The warring pair have long had beef with each other, and even appeared on different stages in the event, showing how deeply divided their rift is. Farage said he was appalled when the far-right activist was appointed as a special advisor to the party. He added that it had blown a hole in his efforts to make UKIP a non-racist, non-sectarian party. UKIP was always a racist party. It's just that Nigel Farage knew and understood that to get away with racism, you can't be an out-and-out racist like Robinson is. You have to be at least in the closet and at least dog whistle every so often, and at least do the odd thing every so often, like the whole Breaking Point poster, just to show, you know, your racist card every so often, and it's fine. He could get away with it. And then he could bring moderates who really don't like open racism into his party, and then they could, like, encourage his support. This is why parties like the BNP failed so badly, because they were basically out and out racists. But UKIP did such a good job hiding it. And one of the things I've said on this channel before, you want to know the reason why Farage was the face of UKIP? Because he knew exactly how racist his party was. He knew exactly what Gerard Batten was and what he thought. So the fact that so what Gerard Batten is saying shouldn't be surprising to Farage. He already probably knew about Batten's intentions and what he'd said, but he just had a good ability to be able to keep a lid on it. This was why, whenever, again, BBC Question Time, why was Nigel Farage on all the time? Why did you never see anyone else from UKIP? It was because Nigel knew he couldn't trust anyone else to come out and be sensible and not racist. You only have to Google UKIP racism and you will see a torrent of stories about UKIP councillors who were kicked off the council for racism. In fact, UKIP had 2 councillors left after the last local election, and guess what? They lost one because, you guessed it, he was kicked off the council for making racist statements. So, in November, he told BBC Radio 4, Gerard Batten has this sort of fixation with Tommy Robinson and discussing Islam and dragging UKIP in the direction of effectively being a street activist party. Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, wore a t-shirt emblazoned with the URL of his own website. He was also criticised for airing his anti-BBC documentary on a 50-foot widescreen. We've already been through that. Some of his fans said he was wrong to concentrate with his beef with the mainstream media when the crowds were there to promote the Brexit impasse. And congratulations, guys, because this is the hilarious point. Tommy Robinson pointing out the fact that Nigel Farage doesn't care about you is true. Nigel Farage doesn't care about the average man in the street, but neither does Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson only cares about one thing: Stephen Yaxley Lennon. And how much money he can pump from his gullible fans. Take for the Australia instance. None of his fans have been refunded, as far as I'm aware. So where's all that money gone? In another impassionate speech later on, Stephen himself continued to talk about himself. With his voice straining, he said, "I will stand in front of you and I will make mistakes, but I know, I care, I love you, I will do everything I can." So basically, he's trying to appeal in the most obvious way, and it's desperate. That is incredibly desperate, and I hope he turns some people off from that, because that is just desperate to the extreme. But it shows that he only cares about himself. He really doesn't, because he doesn't care about the issues that are really affecting people. The fact that austerity, benefits, people having to live on food banks, the housing crisis, actual issues affecting real people, Robinson has never said anything about it. Or shall I say, Yaxley Lennon has said nothing about those issues. He doesn't have any answer to them. His only answer is, oh, it's all these Muslims coming in and taking up these things. If only we could get rid of them, this would somehow solve all these problems. Never exactly says how it will solve these problems and how somehow getting rid of the Muslims will solve these problems. It doesn't. And, you know, this will only encourage a further Muslim extremism, by the way, if Robinson actually did ever have any sort of power to actually do the stuff he wanted. But, you know, there you go. The rally broke out into violence later on in the evening after the crowds began to turn on journalists. Oh my! And who has been speaking out against journalists all this time and blaming them? As we said before, only a couple of weeks ago, look, this is dangerous. People going after journalists is not healthy for a democracy. Channel 4 and CNN both reported their crews being pushed by crowds as things turned ugly. The head of communications, Henley Barlow, tweeted to report that their Channel 4 news crew were unharmed tonight, but whilst their safety remains our top priority, they will not be intimidated or deferring from doing their jobs on what is another monumentous day on this ongoing Brexit crisis. And obviously it goes into him being banned because obviously hate speech, the fact he targets Muslims, yada yada yada. But that's hilarious, and it's so funny Robinson saying that to Farage, because again, he doesn't care about the people of Rotherham, he doesn't care about the victims, he doesn't care or has ever mentioned that as part of that grooming gang in Rotherham that he loves to talk about so often, that the two people who are responsible for bringing young girls to these men and, you know, effectively bringing them in and grooming them were actually two white women. He doesn't like to mention that fact at all because, you know, it's all the Muslims' fault. But there you go. Once again, these idiots having a fight, and it's good because this will split the Brexiteers, and you'll see who are the shall we say the out and out racists and who are the ones in the closet. Because quite frankly, all this racism needs to be shoved back in the closet, because eventually these people will actually start to think, maybe me holding these views isn't really a good idea.